Coming up right now on our noon broadcast, the latest on the COVID-19 outbreak here in Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County next. Plus, a local education leader joins us live to talk about what's next for his school in regards to their COVID-19 response. The news at noon starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties both saw a new case of COVID-19 yesterday. Officials in Chautauqua County report that their new case involves a woman in her 20s. That brings the countywide total now to 28, with 2 cases active, 23 recovered, and 3 deaths. Cattaraugus County, meanwhile, brings their total to 31. Officials say the case involves a woman in the southwestern part of the county. Officials say she's now resting at home. Well, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell is urging local businesses to look to the future and develop plans for how they will reopen after the COVID-19 outbreak. Wendell says the county should remain optimistic when looking at the relevancy of low interaction in the county. Wendell also says that businesses should work to implement protocols to protect their employees and customers from the spread of COVID-19 in the future. Public Health Director Christine Schuyler says that her office is continuing to monitor the spread here and says that she'll advise of the need to tighten community mitigation as warranted going forward. For more on this story, visit our website, WNYNewsNow.com. Well, President Donald Trump yesterday downplayed the possibility that the coronavirus could be worse this winter, despite medical experts warning that COVID-19 could combine with the flu and make things a little more complicated. John Lawrence explains more from Washington.
The head of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention attempting to clarify his stance on an expected second wave of COVID-19.
I think it's really important to emphasize what I didn't say. I didn't say that this was going to be worse.
On Tuesday, Dr. Robert Redfield told the Washington Post, quote, "There's a possibility that the assault of the virus on our nation next winter will actually be even more difficult than the one we just went through."
Because we'll have flu and coronavirus circulating at the same time.
President Trump says Redfield is talking about a worst-case scenario and that the U.S. is better prepared now.
If we have pockets, a little pocket here, then we're going to have it put out. It goes out, and it's going to go out fast. We're going to be watching for it. But it's all possible. It's also possible it doesn't come back at all.
But many in the medical world say the virus isn't going to fade away.
There will be coronavirus in the fall.
Ultimately, a vaccine may inoculate us against the virus, which would be great and a real significant development. But this is part of our human environment now.
Some states, including Georgia, are getting ready to start allowing some businesses to reopen despite the current threat. Other states like Louisiana may not be back in business soon.
Yeah, of course I'm worried. I don't want to get it myself.
I've been staying inside like to see, following the rules. And I ain't ready to die.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases says that states beginning to reopen should be careful and that rushing to lift social distancing guidelines would likely accelerate infections. Well, an increase in drug and overdose deaths is being reported in Chautauqua County. Officials say in part because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the beginning of the outbreak, there have been 59 overdoses, including 3 fatalities. Officials say last year the average number of overdoses in 1 month was 19. In response, the Chautauqua Substance Abuse Response Partnership is now urging residents struggling with addiction to seek help. Chautauqua County District Attorney Patrick Swanson, during an interview with us yesterday on the program, explained the severity of the uptick.
There's a real fear that people, especially as this drags on longer, are going to, resort to using, narcotics to kind of assuage their mental health problems. And the risk of overdose is greater right now than it probably has been in quite some time.
Officials say outpatient clinics across the county are now working to make access to treatment available for anyone in need, including those who travel to who do not have travel to that clinic. For more, visit combatAddictionCHQ.com. Well, a new online contest that rewards shoppers of local businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic kicks off today. Joanna Dahlbuck with the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce tells us the Shop Takwa Cash Dash is offering several prizes to those who shop local. All community members must do to partake is patronize your local business and post a photo on social media.
Once you do visit that business and you enjoy your meal, you take a picture of it, I think before you eat it, maybe even after you eat it, hopefully it's all gone, and post a picture of that on your Facebook feed and hashtag CHQ Cash Dash, and we'll follow that hashtag, and then at the end of a certain period of time, depending on the participation we have, we'll do a drawing, and there'll be gift certificates to additional restaurants. There'll be some Shop Takwa gift cards. We may even get some swag in there,
Well, area residents or retail stores that want to be added to this campaign are asked to contact Joanna. We have a link to that on WNYNewsNow.com. And we also have a list of the businesses. Each day there's going to be several businesses featured part of this contest. And if you can get there and buy something, patronize them, and take a photo, it certainly does help. We thank you so much for joining us here for WNY News Now as we continue to put facts over fear in our coverage of the novel coronavirus outbreak and its effects here in the Jamestown area. Got to say hello to Mary Grace. Hopefully you're doing well. Hello to Beatrice, David, Sean. Good to see TR, Pam as well. Good to see Cindy. Thank you so much all for joining us here on the broadcast. Well, now let's switch gears and get a check of our First Defense weather forecast, and that's where we find Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And unlike yesterday, Dakota, not too much sunshine out there for us.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of sun now, but here's my question. Is that contest eligible for anybody who works at WNY News Now, or are we not eligible for that?
I would say we're probably eligible. I would think so.
Because I might partake, so
yeah.
Don't be surprised if you see me waving my phone around trying to take a picture. Be like, a feed in my face here.
Well, I think it was funny that Joanna said that you could take a picture after you eat the food to show how good it was because it's clean off your plate.
Yeah, but please don't take a picture while you're eating. Nobody wants to see that. But this is something people want to see. That's a live look coming from downtown Olean. We don't show this camera very often down in the Allegheny River Valley, and it's mostly cloudy right now. 31 over 30 is the current temperature and dew point right now. Now, we have a few light rain showers and snow showers moving across the region. The radar's been flopping back and forth between rain and snow, so this is likely a rain-snow mix that's falling across parts of the area. But again, all that will lift northward, and then we'll have a chance for a few showers basically through the afternoon hours today. But yeah, don't expect a whole lot of sunshine through the afternoon. It was windy yesterday, 29 miles per hour. Was the peak wind gust in town yesterday, and 28 was the peak wind gust in Dunkirk yesterday. And the winds are down today, so it won't be as windy. 35 and 29 was the high and low yesterday. 85 and 20 are in the record books for today. So through the afternoon today, basically overcast skies. That early wintry mix will change over to a few rain showers basically later for the afternoon. Otherwise, mostly cloudy to complete overcast intervals, milder than yesterday and less windy. 45 at the immediate Lake Erie waterfront to 56 well inland, with an east wind averaging about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Another storm system comes our way for the weekend. We'll time it out in just a few minutes. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Coming up next, education leaders in Jamestown unveiled a plan this week to keep parents and students informed as this COVID-19 outbreak continues. School Superintendent Dr. Brett Apthorpe joins us live next to explain. Stay with us.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
This is Christine Schuyler, Chautauqua County Public Health Director, with a very important message. We need you to make every effort to protect yourselves and our healthcare workers. If you absolutely don't need to go out, don't. If you have a mild cold or flu-like symptoms, with or without a fever, stay home. If your symptoms are severe, call your healthcare provider. Do not go to the emergency room or urgent care. Do not call 911 or go to the ER unless you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency. The best ways you can help prevent the spread of COVID-19 are to wash your hands often with soap and water, cover your cough, avoid close contact with others. Please stay home.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. This week, Jamestown Public Schools updated the community on their plan as the COVID-19 pandemic continues. Joining us now on the broadcast to talk more about the district's response is School Superintendent Dr. Brett Athorpe. Dr. Athorpe, thank you for being here today.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Justin.
First off, I'm sure you've gotten many questions about what will happen due to the COVID outbreak and really what's next. The district released a pretty big plan this week to address many of those. Can you tell us the scope of the plan?
Well, what we're essentially saying to our community is we're entering the fourth quarter of the school year, May 1st. And what we're trying to get out to the community is that our schools are open. The buildings are closed, but our schools are open. And so we've put together a really comprehensive plan to explain to our parents how the grading system will work, how they can get resources for their kids. But essentially, the expectation for our families should be school is open Monday through Friday. Kids should be doing their work, working with their teachers. So even though the buildings are closed, it's going to be business as, quote, usual from Monday through Friday.
How does the day work for a lot of kids? I think if there are community members out there who have kids in the school, they probably know this firsthand, but is class held normally just online, or are teachers giving out assignments, or is it a teacher by teacher basis?
It's actually all of those. And our schools have actually coordinated times so that because we recognize that some families have multiple children in their house, right? There's not just one kid, they've got several. And so the schools have coordinated schedules and times to minimize the overlap. They've also done lessons that are flexible, because we recognize that we have parents who aren't home because they're working. You know, they may be healthcare workers, first responders. So we've woven in a lot of flexibility into the work that's coming out to our kids.
Now, Governor Cuomo's order, which closed schools through May 15th so far, has not been amended. How has the district planned for the scenario that it would be extended, and then alternatively, if schools were to return?
Yeah, so Justin, the governor has required all the schools in the state to step in line with his closures, right? So he's saying to schools that he'll waive the 180-day minimum requirement for schools in order to get aid, as long as schools stay in step with him. However, planning and preparation are two really important ingredients for successful education. And our administrative team is of the mindset that we need to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So let's plan our schools being out for the rest of the school year. Let's reduce people's anxiety. And whenever the governor announces the next round of closures, we'll stay in line. And we all hope, right? Everyone hopes we come back to school this school year. But, I'm pretty pessimistic. I watch the governor on your program, Justin, and listen to him. And, I don't see any encouraging data that we'll be back. So So our message is school buildings are closed, but school is open.
Now, when school eventually does return, do you know what that would look like? We've talked to civic leaders who say that society will likely be different. People might be more cautious. Will that reflect in the education community?
Oh, big time. We're going to see, if there's any good thing in any of this, is I think that our hygiene practices will improve tenfold, and you'll see a lot more hand washing, distancing, hygiene practices being taught in schools, which I think in turn will mean we'll have less kids sick, right? Less kids with colds, less kids with because of the better hygiene. But there's no doubt, Justin, and I hate the phrase new norm, but there will be a new norm in schools, and it will be different.
Now, looking over this continuing instruction plan that was released on the district site this week, the first objective is to determine a criteria for how students would now be graded. How do you plan on constructing the final report card, so to speak, that normally would be sent home at the end of the year?
Yeah, so what we've done, Justin, is we've dropped numeric grades. And so K through 12, so a child will either get a pass, a fail, or an incomplete. Our incomplete are for our children who may not have access to resources. So we don't want to retain a kid or fail a kid because they didn't have access to the internet, let's say. So we want to work with those kids, and hopefully by summer, we'll have some time to create some remediation or some assistance for kids in August to recoup their credit. So there'll be no grades. It'll just be pass, fail. And it looks like that most universities have changed their entry requirements for students, and that they're recognizing that class ranks aren't really effective anymore. Final GPAs aren't effective anymore. So it looks like they're loosening up their requirements to that.
What would the process to transition students from one grade to a next look like?
So right now, part of our big plan is to communicate with parents so that parents know where their children are. Because prior to this outbreak, parents could go on the internet and see every day on demand how their child was doing academically. So with this new pass-fail arrangement, we want to set up a communication medium for parents to be able to gauge where their son or daughter is in terms of achieving course credit. Now, an interesting thing, Justin, is the state has given very broad, a lot of flexibility to schools on deciding who gets credit and who doesn't, which is kind of contrary, because the last 10 years we've been in this Common Core standards, testing. Schools have to have a minimum test and kids have to have tests. And they came out and said, you don't have to do any of that. Yeah. And they were very specific that they do not want kids retained who weren't successful during this outage period. So we're trying to dignify that as well.
Yeah, and I imagine probably with the online, it could be difficult to test. Is that, you think, one of the big reasons why they're kind of shifting from, I know you think back, and this was a while ago for me, but everyone would go in the gymnasium and take a standardized test. With everybody now at home, some people maybe don't have the internet. It almost seems like it might be more difficult to do something like that.
It is, and it requires, it requires resources, right? You have to have the technology to do that. And while we've given out thousands of devices, many of those are iPads, right? And it's really hard to type on an iPad. And we also know that in Jamestown, where 70% of our students live in poverty, access to the internet is a key requirement. And, a lot of our kids just don't have that.
Yeah. And on that point, I know the school lunches, that was one of the first big things that you spoke about when the pandemic first became mainstream locally, that you were going to keep food going. How has that effort, now that it's been expanded to more than just lunchtime?
If you can believe it, I still am in disbelief, Justin, but our food service workers in the past 6 weeks have made over 80,000 breakfast lunch packs.
Wow.
80,000 breakfast lunch packs that go out to our kids every day. These are frontline workers, our food service workers, and they're the least, they're in the least glamorous positions in schools, right? I mean, you don't see them at homecoming, you don't see them at the prom, you don't see them at graduations, and these people have been coming into work. And about 2 weeks ago, we ran out of masks for them. We ran real low. And I put an all call to anybody, if we could get masks for our food service workers. And Justin, I was thinking about your comments earlier in the show about our community. Our community responded in spades. People dropped off bags and boxes and all kinds of masks for those workers. And I'm just so grateful for those random acts of kindness that our community poured out to them. So we're very much delivering, making thousands of meals a day still, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of those kids, it's crucial. This is what we hear. In regards to those amazing random acts of kindness, looking over the many photos and videos posted on the district's social media pages, it seems like many are starting to adapt to that at-home learning. However, though, not that many people maybe have adapted to it. In regards to the disengaged students, and especially those who maybe are struggling, what is their path going to look like going forward?
Yeah, so we have two categories there, Justin. We have one category of disengaged kids who are just kids who have access to resources but are choosing not to be involved. And part of our plan is an aggressive reconnection with those kids where the teacher will talk to the kid, the principal will talk to the kid, the superintendent will talk to the kid, and we'll have some several motivational speakers to them, if you will, individually. And that's about, it's probably only about 15% of our kids, but we're going to be very assertive about helping parents motivate them, if you will. And I'm putting quotes and I'm smiling around the word motivation.
Yeah.
But there's another category of kids, and it's small. It's like 5% that I am most worried about. These are kids, Justin, who've disappeared. Right? They've fallen off the face of the earth. We haven't been able to reach them. We haven't been able to reach their homes. And we do know that there is a community of students where school is the safe place. It is the place they go to every day. It is the place they get fed. It is the place they get health care. It is the place to get mental health services. And so part of our plan that we just came up with is partnering with our county youth agencies and figuring out we need to go find these kids, if for nothing else, just to make sure they're okay. So we have two categories of disengaged, one that need to get a little motivated and another that need to get found.
Now, as for high school seniors, we've seen in regards to a lot of them on social media are very antsy in regards to whether they'll have graduation and other traditions like prom. Do we have any update on that front?
Well, the only update I have, Justin, is the high school principal, Mr. Williams, and I have been collecting best practices around the country in terms of digital graduations. We've been looking at college graduations specifically, and we're collecting some of those models. The virus in Chautauqua County, we're pretty blessed. The numbers are really low, right? So if the virus dissipates and we get a regional permission to be able to congregate, abiding by social distancing, I think that we all would want to go to Chautauqua Institution and use the amphitheater for a graduation. I think that's the ideal. But what we're going to do is we're going to wait until about mid-June, early June rather, and Mr. Williams is going to meet with the senior class advisors and the senior class officers and myself, and we're going to go over the options, and we're going to see what the kids would like to do.
Yeah, certainly leave the power up to them, and hopefully the powers that be and the situation would align for that.
Yeah.
Final question, and we thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah,
We've
sure.
seen some of those amazing photos and videos that we've been talking about of students trying to rally each other with messages of staying strong, staying positive while they're home. Do you think that this outbreak and the changes that we've seen here will make the students stronger as individuals?
Well, children are very resilient. by nature, and how our adults have responded to this outbreak has been inspiring, and it inspires our kids because I spoke earlier about the random acts of kindness that we're seeing all over the place. Kids inherently want to do those things, and so I think it's going to have a profound impact on kids, and I think it's going to, in a positive way. They've seen a country in crisis, they've seen their community in crisis, but they've also seen the good in people, and what comes out in these events, we say defines people, and it does move kids. Kids love champions, and they want to be a champion. So I think, Justin, that this generation will have benefited mightily, at least locally, from this experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just rolling now some video that was posted, I believe, by Purcell Middle School's Facebook page, and it just shows them all with signs of encouragement, something that, as the adults here, probably could take away from that too. Jamestown Public School Superintendent Dr. Brett Athorpe joining us on the broadcast today. Sir, thank you so much for time. We really do appreciate it.
It's always good being with you, Justin. Thank you.
And we must note, for those who maybe still have questions, there's a lot of information posted at jpsny.org. Let's now get a check of our weather forecast with Dakota.
Absolutely, and the class of 2012, or the class of 2020, excuse me, is definitely going to be, I think, trendsetters going into the future here. Talking about trend setting, the cold has definitely taken over here. 16 days this month have been spent below average. We've only had 6 days where the high temperature was at average or above average for the day. And basically, this time of the year, our average high is in the 60s. Are we at that now? Well, no. You can see outside, you can see the cloud cover. We're at 40, though, right now at noon hour, with the southeast wind at 12, and the wind chill is at a pair of 3s right now, 33 degrees as of noon hour at the Jamestown airport. And it was cold this morning. 29 was the low, essentially. And that's nowhere near the record, though. It was 20 back in 1986. So it was cold, but it was nowhere near a record breaker. And at least we're not going to see low temperatures in the 20s, at least for just a few more days here. So satellite and radar, notice this front that's stalled right here. That's a stationary front. This is acting as a boundary, and there's actually a wave of low pressure riding along this boundary. So that's the reason why we're in the cloud cover and the rain today, because of that boundary down to our south. And the radar basically shows you mainly dry conditions. And again, the radar's been flopping back and forth between rain and snow here. I think this might be a wintry mix of rain and snow, maybe some grapple at times. Some sleet is definitely possible in this as well. This is all going to lift northward, and then we're going to be left with a few rain showers as temperatures are slow to warm up today. And you can see it here on Future Scan, painting the idea of a few scattered showers, mainly across the southern tier, early this afternoon, and then late this afternoon, we should be mainly dry. Tonight, we'll get into a chance for more rain showers as another storm system comes our way. So as that storm system moves out, the rain will actually taper off tomorrow afternoon, going into Friday night before another system heads our way for the weekend. So let's talk about it here, the weekend weather here, what's going on for the weekend. So this is Saturday. Another storm system riding close to the area is going to bring us some rain showers on Saturday. It's going to be on again, off again type of rain, and temperatures will actually warm well into the mid to upper 50s on Saturday. But then notice as this colder air filters in on Sunday, we change over to widespread rain, which may actually change over to some wet snowflakes, especially on the hills Saturday, or actually on Sunday afternoon going into Sunday night. That still needs to be fine-tuned, and we'll probably have more information on that for you tomorrow. 50 degrees at 1 o'clock. Are we going to warm up 10 degrees within another half hour? I don't think so. This is computer data. So again, don't take that to the bank. I think we'll be likely in the lower to mid 40s. We may warm up into the lower 50s for some period today, but again, it's going to be depending on the cloud cover, how much of it we get along with the rain. 49 degrees by about just before midnight tonight. How about we take a look at the next 7 days of your life? 49 tomorrow, 58 on Saturday. That's ahead of the storm system. So spring is back. Well, Now, on Sunday, we go right back down to 47. Widespread rain that may change over to a mix of rain and snow or sleet later in the day on Sunday going into Sunday night. Monday, chance for a few scattered showers, leftover 46. And then we start a slow climb once again as we head into mid next week. A few scattered rain showers Tuesday and Wednesday with temperatures back into the lower to mid 50s. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. That's going to do it for us today. Of course, news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. And when you're on the go, you can easily stay in the know by downloading our mobile app. Just search WNY News Now in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Subscribe to breaking news push notifications, and we'll keep you in the know. We leave you with this live look over downtown. We're back tomorrow live at noon. We'll see you then.